Thank you. So good morning, good morning, good morning. So we have, you can't see it here, but I have a beautiful gift. So did anybody hear it was my birthday month? Did anybody hear that yet? Yeah, you did, right? Okay, just being sure. Anyway, so I got my first birthday. Is it the first? I think so. Good birthday gift. And it's sitting underneath Ganesh right now. It's beautiful. Mug looking like the ocean that's filled with flowers. And so I placed it under Ganesh this morning because Ganesha's birthday we are celebrating as of tomorrow is the celebration of the birth of Ganesh. And that idea of the belovedness of his offering is what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to give you a couple of different stories of Ganesh, and we'll chant at the beginning. Josh will chant for you at the end during your Shavasana. We'll just Ganesh out. Ganesh. Oh, it is dripping. That's great. Josh, you want to just run in the back and get me a bucket to put underneath there? Thank you so much. So go ahead and close your eyes when you're ready. Take some deep breaths. And breathing in and breathing out. One of the stories, thank you. One of the stories that is often told of Ganesh is his birth, which is such a lovely sound. We have dripping happening over here. The dripping. I think he's going to put a towel in there or something too, or maybe.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. On this end, we have dripping happening, and it's kind of like the what's that thing where it drips on your forehead, and it's just like this torture treatment. All right, I think we're back. So go ahead and close your eyes. Thank you. And the story of his birth is the story that reminds us that things can actually be really horrific and terrible and awful. But at the same time, they can bring such magic. And for his birth, as his mother, Parvati, she created him out of her oils, of her skin. And she created him to be this place of protection. So she placed him at the doorway to her, thank you, to the doorway, to that place that she wanted to stay intimate within herself, that she wanted to go deep inward for her own benefit, for her own healing. And so she placed him at the door so that no one would disturb her. And as Shiva came home, as he often did, and just tried to barrel in, the little boy stopped him and said, "You cannot go in." And he didn't understand, and he was mad, and he lopped off his head. And Thursday morning, 9:30. And then had to go and find another head to be replaced on him. And the first thing they found was the elephant head. Now, this is such a gruesome story, but the idea that Ganesha became the most beloved deity, the most beloved energy, and helps us to move through what may be tragic or terrible or difficult or even a little bit hard, and help us know that there's always going to be something beautiful that's going to come from it. We'll do a little chanting to that energy first. You call and respond. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, my mantra. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Raksha Om Ganapataye Namaha, Om Ganapataye Namaha. Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Om Ganapataye Namaha Om Ganapataye Namaha Ganesha, 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 Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Om Ganapataye Namaha Om Ganapataye Namaha Om Ganapataye Namaha Om Ganapataye Namaha We were talking on Tuesday night in Josh's class, Butterfly Language, about having faith and not selective faith where you only believe in the good, but that you also understand that the dark places, challenging places, the places that stop us dead in our tracks, they also are there for divine purpose. Let your eyes float open and come into child's pose when you're ready. I know some of you have heard this story many times, but when I first learned the chant to Ganesh many, many moons ago, and I was chanting at the top of my lungs while I was driving, you know, and I heard this horrible sound in my car. I'm like, what is happening? And I pulled over and realized I had the first flat tire I've ever had in my entire life as I'm chanting at the top of my lungs to Ganesha, remover of obstacles. And what was so funny about that moment was I was giddy. It wasn't like I was upset that I had a flat tire. I was actually silly about it. Like, it was funny to me. It was funny, the paradox. It was funny, the phone call I made to Neil to come save me. It was funny. That chanting, that idea of remove obstacles, no, may I be able to embrace through whatever life gives me. Come on up to your hands and knees, downward facing dog, please. Create that space here in your downward dog. Breathe deeply to let in and let go. To become and becoming. Ganesha is all about new beginnings. Offering you the open doors. And also the closed doors. Like that walking meditation where your feet come all the way up to your hands, please. A deep bow, forward bend. Watch that those knees are not locking back. Maybe even bend your knees here and sink deep into your feet. Notice that sweet draw in of the shins toward each other for stability, but then the widening of the knees to open up the inner thighs and the groins. Then notice your breath. Become that great student of your breath. Good. Now turn your feet wide and come into squat, or as Linda, you do all so well, either chair or goddess. If squatting doesn't work for you, goddess might work better, maybe something underneath your heels. For Ganesha, the residence of Ganesha energy starts at the first chakra, the primary energy. Ganesha is that place that resides in rooting, grounding, connecting, survival, support, tribal energy. So squeeze and lift that pelvic floor and release it. Squeeze and lift the pelvic floor and release it. So Nancy, see, another thing you could do is turn your feet wide, more like a goddess. So it's a little bit, yeah, yes, very nice. That might be a little more helpful. And then go ahead and touch your hands to the floor, standing forward bend. And drop your head, drop your mind, as if your head was just chopped off. Think of that as being a good thing. Good. Hands on your hips, push down through your legs, rise up slow to stand. You're going to take your hands behind your head and press your head back as you strengthen those neck muscles. Press back. Lift the chest up, but soften those front ribs. Draw your front ribs in. Take the tops of your thighs back. Maybe even bend your knees slightly to take your butt back a little bit more. Beautiful. Now root down through those legs. Now reach those arms up and alongside those ears. Reach back. Exhale, bow forward. Super pretty. Go ahead, send that left foot back behind you, Virabhadrasana 1, first warrior. Drop that back heel so you anchor. And throughout the practice, remind yourself to do a little squeeze and lift of the pelvic floor. Squeeze, mula bandha, lift up, pull up. Good, place your hands behind your head again and press back. Again, strengthening those neck muscles. And maybe as you press your head back, pull your elbows down and lift your chest up just a little bit more. Gorgeous. Clasp your hands behind your back, take a big breath into your lungs and bow forward. Gorgeous. Let your hands drop to the floor, soft landing. Walk your hands to the upper left-hand corner of your mat. You can either keep your back heel planted or spin up your back heel. It's up to you. Keep drawing your sit bones back and wide. So there's this release in that low back. Maybe even round your back a little bit. Nice, Linda. And again, maybe squeeze and lift the pelvic floor. Draw that energy of release into that pelvis. And maybe that's where some of our obstacles begin, as we have such congestion in that lower part of our body. I know for me, it's been a great place of healing and working there. As you lift yourself up, walk to the left until you come to the center of your mat. Turn, turn, turn. Parallel your feet and bow. And enjoy your breath here. Maybe bend one knee and bend the other knee, go side to side. Get as watery as you can here, as fluid as you can. And come back to center, both legs straight. And again, hands on your hips, press down through your legs, rise up to stand. And then wiggle your feet in just a little bit and then turn your feet wide into that goddess pose, bend your knees, interlock your palms and press straight up. Make sure your knees are still pointing at your second toes. Good, now drop your right forearm down onto your right thigh, take your left arm over your side stretch. Reach long through that arm, as long as you can go. Come up, take your arms out to letter T, and then slide to the other side. So beautiful, everybody. Come back to center, straighten the legs, turn the feet back parallel to each other. Good, clasp your hands behind your back and bow forward. Nice, Susan. Nice, Meredith. Great, Kathy. Elisa, hands to the floor. Walk to the front of your mat, step back, downward facing dog. Maybe take it through a vinyasa if you'd like, or maybe you're slowing yourself down today. That's up to you. Even a child's pose. Beautiful. Left foot steps forward when you're ready, Virabhadrasana 1. I love all the special ingredients you're adding into your food today. Some of you are doing it one way and another, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Hands behind your head, Vira 1. Yeah, hands behind your head, press back. As you press back, pull those elbows down and lift that heart like crazy. Clasp your hands behind your back. Breathe into your heart. Exhale, bow forward. Let your head touch the floor. Go, go, go. Hands down to the floor. Walk your hands to the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Some of you did it that had a ponytail. That was awesome. Watch that knee does not pass the ankle here. So keep the knee right on top of that ankle. But push your sit bones back and wide. Even curl your navel up towards your spine. Breathe. Breathe into your center. As you walk yourself back in, walk to the right until you come to the center of your mat. Prasarita Padottanasana. And again, bend one knee and then the other, circling through your hips. Beautiful. And come to that still space. Hands on your hips, push down through your legs, rise up to stand. Turn your feet in just a little bit and then turn your feet wide, come into the goddess. Interlace your hands with the other thumb in first and then press up. That'll feel very awkward to you, or maybe a little awkward. Your arms are, Janet, don't go forward yet. Stay upright in goddess, reach your arms up to the sky. There you go. Squeeze and lift that pelvic floor. Pull up, pull up, pull up. Good, arms out, letter T, taking your right forearm down to your right thigh, left arm over your ear. Extend through that long left arm. Come all the way back up, letter T with those arms, pull into the back of your heart and then reach the other direction. Come back up, straighten those legs, have your feet turn parallel to each other, clasp your hands behind your back, shrug your shoulders towards your ears, get a little bit more space, and then bow forward. Pretty, very beautiful, everybody. Nice, Angela. Beautiful, Jane. Drop your hands down to the floor, walk to the front of your mat, step back, downward facing dog. And take it through vinyasa of your choice or none at all. Nice. Rock stars. Good, I want you to drop down to your elbows here. Elbows right underneath your shoulders, clasp your hands together. Press your forearms toward each other, but lift your armpits just a little bit more toward the front of your mat, navel in. And then come forward as if you're coming into plank pose where your chin comes as close to your hands as possible. And then all the way back, lifting your hips back up. And then bring it once again forward. And then back to that dog. And then lower those knees down to the mat and press back into child's pose. Ganesha and his brother Skanda were arguing one day. So Parvati and Shiva said, let's give them a contest, something that a parent would do to get your children to change the way that they're thinking in that moment, right? Distract them. And so Parvati says, there's a beautiful ripe mango here. And the first one who travels through the universe, goes through the entire universe and gets back here, will get this ripe piece of fruit. And so Skanda, he's very small and athletic and just shoots off into the universe, shoots to make that circle around the universe. And Ganesha sits down to meditate. And at first, Parvati is like, gosh, at least you could try, something, try. Then he opens his eyes and he stands up and he comes over to Parvati and Shiva and he circles around them once. For they are the universe. Masculine, the feminine, the Purusha, the Prakriti. Of course, he got that right piece of fruit. And reminding ourselves that when we do come across challenges, to sit to meditate is always the answer. Walk your arms to the upper right-hand corner of the mat. Extend that left arm as long as it'll go. Keep the rib cage drawn in, that navel lifted. And then walk to the other side. Breathing long and breathing deep. I would guarantee that most of us would say that there are many obstacles that have appeared in our lives have been such learning, healing moments. Come back to center, come onto your hands and knees, downward facing dog. And stepping your right foot forward, open to Virabhadrasana 2, second warrior. Beautiful light landing. If you have a strap nearby and would like to bind on this side angle, you can certainly do that or bind without the strap. But taking your right hand either to the floor, to the thigh, or reaching that right arm underneath your right knee, left arm behind you, and taking it into the bind. Remind yourself if you're going for the bind that top left shoulder needs to be open. Don't let it fall forward. Beautiful. Now push into your back foot just a little bit more. Nice, everybody. Beautiful. And drop the hands down to the floor, light landing, downward facing dog. You want to take it through vinyasa if you'd like, or stay right where you are. You are all glowing. You are amazing. Left foot forward when you're ready. Vira 2. Drop into that left thigh deeply, deeply, deeply. Good, Susie. And then left hand down to the floor or on the thigh, or take it into the bind, opening those shoulders, open those shoulders. Nice. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice, Meredith. Drop down, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Good. As you feel ready, walk or jump to squat or to chair or to a high goddess. Maybe a block underneath your seat. Maybe your heels up on a blanket. Squeeze and let that pelvic floor. The energy through the pelvis. Breathing deeply, and letting go, letting go, You know, the throat energy is associated with the pelvic energy, so letting your throat go, Standing forward bend. Hands on your hips, push down through your legs, rise up to stand. Allow your arms just to drop alongside the body. Close your eyes and feel. Where do I belong? Who am I? Where do I place faith? Where do I place value? As you open your eyes, hug your left knee into your chest, please. Take your arms up to the sky. Now take your sit bones back and wide, so reach back. Good, now send that left leg back behind you into Virabhadrasana 3. You can always bend your standing leg to create a little bit of more wobbliness. And then let your left hand float to the floor, your right arm float to the sky, revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Maybe reach back for your ankle or stay right where you are. Use it as a shoulder stretch if you're reaching back for that ankle. Spread those toes. And then release everything to the front of the mat, standing forward bend. Beautiful, everybody. Hands on your hips, push down through your legs, rise up to stand. And hug your right knee into your chest, hug your right knee into your chest. Reach your arms up to the sky, relax your jaw. Take your sit bones back and wide, and then send that right leg back behind you. Pausing in Virabhadrasana. 3. Good, and then reaching that right hand down to the floor, left arm to the sky. Twisting, half moon. Reaching back for the ankle if you'd like, or stay right where you are. Opening that shoulder. Beautiful, releasing everything to the front of the mat. And stepping back, downward facing dog. So we started playing on Tuesday with Pincha Mayurasana, just getting into the prep form. So go ahead and drop the elbows down to the mat again. This time, keeping the hands separate from each other. So the wrists are in line with the elbows. And you want to play with which gives you more support here. Elbows or shoulders a little wider, or bringing the forearms in a little closer. And then start to walk your feet in. Good, now look forward toward your fingertips. So you're moving into the back of your heart, pull your navel in and reach your right leg to the sky. Take the right leg down, take the left leg up, soften around your face. Squeeze the forearms in, lift those armpits up, lower both knees down to the mat, press back into child's pose. Ganesha always reminds us that things are not as they always appear to be. There's the version of Ganesha Dancing, which is what we have here at the studio. The idea how ridiculous of an elephant dancing. But allowing ourselves to see that magic in what we can't imagine even exists. Trusting there's so much more to this world, this life, this existence than we even see. And to things that seem so out of control, ridiculous, there's purpose. We don't stay in that selective faith. Good. Come on all the way down to your belly, please. Come into Sphinx Pose. Tucking your toes under. Go ahead, lift your knees up, lift your hips up into that forearm plank. And then lower back down. So we're going to do that for 1 minute because it just sounds like such a great idea. Hold on, I want to make sure because there's been times where I've timed things before and then realized the timer wasn't working. So go ahead, lift yourself up. And the point of doing it, if you're like, why are we doing it for 1 minute? What's the point? Is to become softer around it, to become lighter around it, so that you know you are connecting to this sense of getting stronger, connecting to this sense of holding strength. But you're softening to it too. You're agreeing to become light in your mind. Only 30 seconds left. The mind is not creating all these issues. And the breath is deep and sweet. And the face is relaxed. 20 seconds. It's our last 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Come on down and relax. Beautiful. Brilliant. Turn your cheek to the side.
That told me a new plank record was that it was 9.5 hours.
Who? Full plank straight arm. I don't even. I don't even know what to say.
You literally said that. And I was like, well,
So, so I'm being told that there's a plank record of 9
9+ hours.
9+ hours.
Literally so fast.
I just don't know that that's possible. Right. So
To go into the pain, this is what he said. I said it was funny people who can't feel pain. He said, no, it's the opposite. He has constant pain. So he said, by 10 minutes in, he died. So he can just he said, you don't have pain.
I think he has to find other things to do. Turn your cheek to the other side, please. I mean, I was talking the other day about our sun salutations when we used to do them. Always in September, we did 108. It would take, I don't know, a couple of hours, or at least an hour. And then, you were pretty hurting after that. But it was worth it because the adrenaline and the energy was just intensely wonderful. But that's crazy. God bless. Good. Reach back for those ankles, please. Forehead to the mat. Again, since we're going toward Pinchamayurasana, why don't you think of this as a shoulder stretch as well? So begin to lift the knees up and pull the ankles back so the shoulder blades come deep onto your back. Pull your navel in, lift up. Maybe rock forward and back if you'd like to. And then come on down and relax once again. And then just take about 3 cobras here, real slow. Maybe your fingertips are going to come outside of your mat, onto the sides with your shoulder blades deep on your back. Maybe keep them alongside your rib cage. But take 3 very slow and mindful cobras. Power to those legs. And when you finish the 3rd one, go ahead and press back into child's pose. Once you find child's pose, clasp your hands behind your back and just roll to the crown of your head, reaching your arms up and over any amount. And again, there's a just really sweet squeeze behind the heart. And then release your hands down to the floor. Come on up to your hands, knees. And stretch your right arm out to the right. And thread your right arm underneath your left. Your left arm can reach in front of you. It can reach behind you. But again, make sure the head of that arm bone moves up and back. Your breath gets a little deeper. Ganesha is that place of refuge. Take refuge in the knowledge that life gives me everything that I need. That's the dark and that's the light. Come on up and switch sides. I will put a little bit of a added moment, which is that when you ask for that refuge in the unknown, when you chant the mantras, don't be surprised if life doesn't give you exactly what you've asked for, which is to find the grace of moving through these obstacles. Like I said, when I was chanting and really taking in that energy, getting my very first flat tire, that was simple. Finding those places inside of you. I figured that, Allison. I knew that. Finding those moments within you that awaken you. Come on up. Downward facing dog. All right, so we are going to go into headstand here. And I'm gonna tell you it like this, come on down to your knees for a moment. I appreciate if at least, because I know a lot of times I'll say headstand and then people throw their bodies into shoulder stand, because that's their version of headstand. So I'm going to suggest first that you go with me to the point that you don't kick your legs up if you're not going to take it into headstand, but at least come with me on this little journey first. So if you have to go to a wall, I will assume you're not leaving to go eat breakfast. You can go to a wall, and then clasp your hands together at the wall as if you're holding a bouquet of flowers for my birthday, and then press your forearms toward each other. And then press your head down into the mat. You remind yourself in headstand that you need to get that pressing down into the floor. And then you can lift your knees up, walk in, and that can be it right there. If you're going to try to pull those legs in, maybe take one leg up at a time. Maybe squeeze both knees in at the same time. But the trick here in Shirshasana, going into headstand first and then into Pincha Mayurasana, is from here, I would like to see if you can lift your head off the floor. And if you lift your head off the floor, you might need to change your sense of gravity with your legs just a little bit and then gaze forward. And again, if you're not picking your legs off the floor, that's fine. Just take it into down dog and try to walk in, walk in, walk in. If you have your feet on the wall, maybe place one heel to the wall and pull the other leg away. And then again, see if you can press down through your forearms and lift your head off the mat and gaze your head up towards your hands. And then come on down to rest. Good, so now if you have a block, take a block and place it between your hands, either palms face up, which is much more difficult but interesting, or L-shaping that block. So it's like this, right? You have the block between your L-shaped hands. And then put your forearms back down on the mat. And again, if you're just not kicking up, just try this. Place your forearms on the mat. Yep, just like this. Yep. Squeeze your forearms in. Lift your armpits. So you got to have the armpits lifted, navel in, and then just walk in, try to look forward towards your hands. Yeah. 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 The gaze is toward the hands. So you want to really move that chest in the way that squeezes your shoulder blades, lift the ribs. Good, and then come on down and once again rest in child's pose. Good. So the other thought here for some of us who are just beginning this is to make sure, you set your shoulders really well, and then you let your legs just do whatever they want to do, right? So making sure that you squeeze your legs like they're pulling toward each other, so they're not just flailing. A lot of times, and I used to do this a lot too when I started doing inversions, is I set my bottom part so I make sure I'm safe, but then I just hoped that my legs would get up there, right? But instead, you really want to squeeze those legs toward each other. So lie on your back for a moment. Let's do this. Lie on your back. Take your legs to the sky. And then just bring your right leg down to the floor, straight down to the floor, and let it hover right before you touch the floor. Let it hover. Keep active in your feet. Keep the navel and lift the chest. Soften your throat. Don't overreact. Good. So if you are kicking up to some sort of an inversion, this is how strong your legs have to be, how strong your navel is engaged. Try the other side. Watch for some of us, especially when it comes to navel work like this and leg work like this, we tend to go into the neck. We tend to, all of a sudden be like, oh, something else is hurting because I'm gripping somewhere else. Good. And then hug your knees into your chest. Good. Now, can you put the block, and I know some of you don't have blocks, so you will just make believe that you have a block, but if you have a block, put it between your shins. Now bend your knees. Now press your both legs just straight by skimming the floor. And then pull both knees back in towards your chest. Yikes. Push both legs out, skim the floor, squeeze that block, pull back in. 3 more times. My birthday is actually on a day I teach, so we will be doing, I don't know how old I am yet, though. Not because, go ahead, hug your knees into your chest. Not because I don't want to say how old I am. I just can't remember what this year is. Let's see. I was born in 65. So what does that make it? 57, 58, 56? So we'll be doing many things 56 times, I'm sure. Good. Drop your feet down. And you can come up to a bridge pose either by placing the bolster underneath, I'm sorry, not the bolster, the block underneath your sacrum, or coming into bridge, just in a normal way. If you are not on a block, feel free to come down and go back up again. And again, if you're not on a block, feel free to come down. If you're on a block, feel free to stay there for a couple more breaths. I'm going to give you an opportunity to come into a final inversion. Maybe that's going back to Pinchamarasana and trying to work it more into a back bend. Maybe it is doing shoulder stand or legs up the wall. Beautiful. Sweet. Good. And slowly begin to bring yourself back down. Nice, everybody. If you were in shoulder stand, feel free to roll your head from side to side, headstand, maybe a downward dog. Crawling back to your mat. That's great, Nancy. And then as you feel ready, come back up onto your hands and knees. You must slide your right knee in front of your left knee, sitting back between your heels. Maybe a block can go there. Spread your toes. Bring your arms up overhead, hold opposite elbows, lift your chin, send your throat back. And then either stay here or walk yourself forward, bringing your hands down to the floor. And enjoying your breath. There's a story of a very rich man named Kubera who wanted very much to please Shiva. And so he invited Shiva to his house for dinner. He was going to give him the most delicious food and, treat him very well. And Shiva knew that Kubera was really coming from a place of material and wanting to show him how much money he had and wealth he had. And so instead, Shiva said, I cannot make it, but I will send my son Shiva, and my son Ganesha. Come on up and switch sides, please. Take a moment to hold the arms overhead and just lift your side body. Pull that navel in. And then as you feel ready, you can walk forward or stay right where you are. And so Ganesha went on Kubera's jet airplane to his very, very rich house. Kubera took him around to show him the house and then started to feed him. But it became very clear that nothing was filling Ganesha up. As much food as they brought out to him, he wanted more, wanted more, wanted more. To the point that there was nothing left in the refrigerator. And Ganesha started eating the plates, and the silverware, and the platters. And so Kubera got very scared and flew over to Shiva and said, "What can I do? It just seems like I can't give him enough food." And he said, "Bring this little piece of puffed rice to him and see what happens." And so he did. He brought this little tiny piece of puffed rice. And Ganesha ate it and immediately he said, "I'm full. That was delicious. Thank you so much." Shiva said, when you do little things out of love, it will always nourish and fill you up. When you do it out of ego or that idea of proving yourself or wanting someone to see that you've made it when it comes to material, that you always want more, you always want more, always want more. But when you give it out of love, when it's out of this sense of nourishment out of love, it will always fill you very quickly. Come on up, please. Downward facing dog. And then sending your right leg back and up behind you, and then taking that right knee forward for pigeon pose. If you want to come onto your back as well for pigeon, you can do that. Right shin, right ankle on top of left knee, right ankle, left knee. And then walking it forward, bring your forehead down to your mat. Remember for just a moment to round in your back and press your sit bones back and wide. And then feel your spine getting just a little bit longer. And it's sweet, especially in these poses where you're facing downward, is to pull the front of the spine as long as you can as well. As if somebody's holding onto your wrist and just reaching you more and more and more, getting more length in your spine. And then walking your hands back up. Take it back, downward facing dog. If you'd like to take through vinyasa, that's completely up to you. When you feel ready, left leg goes back and up behind you, and you send that through for pigeon or on your back as well. And sink in. Ganesha is really one of those deities that transcends the localness of things, meaning that all over India, there's certain places that Durga or certain places that Krishna, like Vrindavan, Krishna is the deity of choice or the energy around that. Or in Varanasi, it's Shiva, but Ganesh is everywhere, just a beloved energy. And it stands for so much more than just obstacles, obviously, but that's the beginning of it, is remover of obstacles, right? If you ever heard anybody say, what's Ganesh good for? Well, it removes obstacles. So all of us really understand that as being a key piece, how we live our lives, Are we here to remove obstacles, or are we here to understand the grace of the obstacle? Why it was placed in our way? It might take a while, that's why we meditate. Really beautiful, everybody. Take 3 more deep breaths here, feeling your whole body breathing. The end of that 3rd breath, rise up and just take that right leg out in front of you. If you're lying on your back, come on up to sit. We'll take just a forward bend here in Janu Shirshasana. So right leg stretches out in front of you, left foot into the inner right thigh, twisting toward that right leg as you come forward into a forward bend, Janu Shirshasana. Your jaw relaxed. Absolutely beautiful, everybody. Slowly come on up and switch sides. Make sure that happens, that you twist just slightly over and then press those sit bones back. Keep both seats, both sides, both butt cheeks anchored to the floor. And as you feel ready, come on back up. Lie on your back, hug your knees into your chest. Taking your right knee in, extending your left leg out, taking it into spinal twist. Coming back to center and changing sides. And as you come to prepare yourself for Shavasana, Josh is going to chant for you during your Shavasana to find whatever it is that feels good for you. Whether it's placing something underneath your knees, whether it's placing something underneath your head. And then completely relax.
I just wanna thank you. 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 Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha. Pariman, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha. Pariman, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha. Pariman, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha. Pariman, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha. Pariman, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha. Pariman, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. I just want to thank you. 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 Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.
Begin to deepen your breath. Let your body stretch in any way that feels good to you. You're lying on your back, hug your knees into your chest, roll to the right side, come on up to sit. Bring your hands together at your heart center. I remember Sri Brahmananda Saraswati saying, pray for problems. And the idea is to know that when the obstacles arrive, that you have everything you need, and you learn that you have everything you need to move through some of the hardest times in our lives. So maybe together, just to honor and say thank you to those places that just break us wide open. Not easy, for sure. Inhale for the sound of Om, deep breath in. Letting our hands to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody. Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much, everybody. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work.
That was great. Thank you. And
Thank you,
thank you,
Cheryl.
Josh.
Of course.
Beautiful, Josh. Thank you so much.